So last week we had stopped at page, I believe page 51, where we looked at, when two sukoons come together and how we treat with it in reading, right? We said in Arabic we can't allow two sukoons to come together. So in some cases, what we do is we add uh, a dhamma, you know, on the first letter that has a sukoon, and then it connects to the second letter. In some cases, we add a kasra, and in a few cases, we add a fatha, right? So we did that last week. So I won't go over that again. If anybody has any issue with that, please let me know. Again, you can unmute your mic and just speak into the mic, or we have the chat box. So if you don't want um, to use the mic, you can just type a message in the chat box, right? So just let me know if you have any issues with that, right? The next lesson we have to go on to as a refresher is Rakam Thamania, or number 8. The instructions here says Ta'ammil ma yali. Ta'ammil ma yali. Observe what follows. So they are showing us here an example. This is at the end of page 51, right? If you have your books, you can follow it in your books, or you can follow on your device, right? Is everybody okay there? Page 51. All right, so Ta'ammil ma yali, daraba, and who. So here we are dealing with attached pronouns. Please remember that in Arabic we have attached and separated or detached pronouns, right? So attached pronouns, they serve different purposes. They can be the fa'il in a jumlatul fi'liya, that is the doer of the verb, right? They can be maf'ul bihi, right? They can be mudaf ilayh, depending on how they occur, right? In this case, we are looking at them being the mudaf ilayh. That is the thing that the action is acted upon, or the thing that is acted upon, right? So in this case, you have the verb daraba, daraba. Now, I want us to pay particular attention to this because remember we have the verb, and when you conjugate the verb, depending on the do of the verb and you conjugate it, whether it's masculine singular, feminine singular, third person, or uh, masculine plural third person. When you conjugate the verb, this is different to what we're dealing with here, right? Those um, Domair, or the pronouns that are added at the end of the verbs for the conjugation, is different to this. Those, in those cases, represent the fa'il, or the doer of the verb. In this case, the pronoun added on represents the maf'ul bihi, or the thing that is acted upon, right? So we have here daraba, which means to hit, or he hit, right? So, and then you add to that the ha with the dhamma. You have darabahu. Darabahu means he hit him. He hit him. So then we see how we write that at the end there, after the equal sign. You have darabahu, and you join it because it's an attached pronoun, right? So we have to be careful here, right? This here, darabahu, it is the fa'il and the maf'ul bihi. Now where is the fa'il? The fa'il, the do of the verb, it is damir mustatir, is understood, right? It is a what we call it damir mustatir, or the hidden pronoun. All right, so this is a complete sentence here. Darabahu. You have the fa'il, which is the verb daraba. You have the fa'il, which is the hidden pronoun or understood pronoun, right? Which is huwa, right? And then you have who, which is the maf'ul bihi, or the object of the sentence, right? Or the thing that is being hit. Darabahu, darabahu, right? So there's a whole sentence by itself there. It's a verbal sentence, starts with a verb. the fa'il or the do of the verb is understood, and then you have the maf'ul bihi. Good. Going on again to the next example, you have darabat and then who. Darabat and then who, right? So in this case, you have the fa'il. Again, the fa'il or the do of the verb, it is damir mustatir, it is hidden, all right? Because uh, uh, it is understood, right? So darabat who? She hit him, right? So when you bring that together, you see how we have it there after the equal sign? Darabat who? She hit him, right? Again, darabat is third person feminine singular, right? Here, darabat, she hit, right? But again, the pronoun for the fa'il or the do of the verb, it is understood. It's what we call damir mustatir, right? Next page, page 52 at the top, we have here, again, daraba, which means to hit, and then you have, well, in this case, you have the attached pronouns that represent now the fa'il or the doer of the verb. So in this case, it is not understood or hidden, but rather it is clear. So this is a clear attached pronoun which represents the doer of the verb, right? So in this case here, the ta with the fatha, ta, this is the damir muttasil or the attached damir that represents the fa'il, the doer of the verb. So what do we have? We have darabta, darabta, and then we have the who again, which is the maf'ul bihi, which is the object of the sentence. So what we have? Darabat, darabta who, darabta who. Everybody with me? I hope everybody is okay with that. Darabta who. What does that mean? It means you, masculine plural, you hit him. Darabta who. You hit him. All right? Good. Similarly, we have darabti, he. Darabti plus the add on the ha dhamma who, you get darabti he. Right? So this case, it is the second person feminine singular. Anti darabti. You hit. Right? Who did you hit? Who. The ha dhamma who. When you join that, you get darabti he. Now, why does the who change the he here? It has nothing to do with case, it's just because of the phonetics. Because the who here is coming just after a letter with kasra, therefore it will also take kasra. So please note that at the side somewhere in the notebooks, anytime the attached pronoun who or whom for that matter, the plural of it, whom, attached pronoun, comes just right after a letter with kasra, then the ha, the dhamma and the ha changes to kasra. So you will have, if it was whom there, you will have darabti him, right? And in this case, you have darabti he, right? Again, this is because it is easier to pronounce, right? And this is accepted from way back. And that's how in Surah Al-Fatiha, we have غير المغضوب عليهم, him, right? So the original pronoun is whom, right? Whom. But because of the alai, you get him, because of the ya coming before it, right? Alai him. Next example here, you have darab to who. So in this case, we are saying I hit. Darab to. So in this case, the ta dhamma represents the attached pronoun representing I, Anna. Right? So darab to who. So we have, notice in all these examples, we have two attached pronouns. Two attached pronouns. You have the verb, and we have two attached pronouns after. The first one being the fa'il, and the second one being the maf'ul bihi. Right? So pay particular attention to that. Then we have a little variation here, where you have darab tum. Darab tum, this is masculine plural, second person pronoun, darab tum. Right? You, masculine plural, hits. Right? Who did he hit? Who? Him. Right? Darabtum, and then he add the who. But look what happens with this. And this only happens with this particular attached pronoun, the tum, right? When you have this tum attached on to, as an attached pronoun, and you add in a next pronoun onto it, what do? We add a wow to the after the meme. What do? We add a wow after the meme. This is only when we are attaching a next pronoun to this pronoun. You all understand? You all follow? So what is the next pronoun we add in? We add in the ha, as we have done before, right? So we have darabtum hu. So what do we get? We add the wow before the ha. And again, this wow is added only for this pronoun, tum. Right? So what do we get? We get darabtumu hu. Darabtumu hu. You'll see now there? Darabtumu hu. All right, so this is um, lesson 8. Now let's see some of these examples here or questions. أين first one here. Right. أين الطالب الجديد؟ أين الطالب الجديد؟ أرأيتموه؟ أرأيتموه؟ Um, so this is somebody speaking to a group of male, group of boys possibly. So he's asking them, did you see the new students? Or sorry, where is the new students? Did you all, because it's plural, how do you know it's plural? Because the pronoun used here is tum, all right, tum. Then they add the wow, of course, because as I said just before, when we are attaching a next pronoun onto tum, we add that extra wow, all right? So we get ara'aytumuhu, ara'aytumuhu. Next example, number 2, رقم 2. أين الحية؟ أين الحية؟ أقتلتموها؟ أقتلتموها? Where is the snake? Did you all kill it? Referring to speaking again to a group of males, right? So it could be boys or men. Did you all kill it? Right. Next one. هذا درس سهل. هذا درس سهل. This is an easy lesson. This is an easy lesson. أفهمتموه؟ أفهمتموه? Do you all understand it? Right. So you all see how it is applied here with the tum, right? Are there any questions? Anybody not clear as to how this is done? Anybody need further clarification? All right, so yeah, somebody has a question?
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, okay, I understand. Everything's fine.
Okay, I'm doing it. All right, so the next section here, we have the instruction, اقرأ الجمل الآتية مع الضمائر المذكورة أمامها, right? So we have to read the following sentences with the pronouns that are with them, right, or in front of them. So the first one is أرأيتم and then whom. So anybody want to give this a shot? How do we compile these two components? And what do we have to add, if anything? Right. أرأيتموهم. نعم أحسنت. Next one, anybody?
فهمتموها.
نعم. فهمتموها. يعني wow, right? Good. رقم 3. Anybody? Right. Pay attention to this one. You have a kasra below the ta. So when you join the ha to that, what do we get? Ghasalti, he. Ghasalti, he, right? So the who will change to he because of the kasra below the ta, right? Wajadtu, next one is wajadtuhu. Wajadtu, this is straightforward. Wajadtuhu. Rakam khamsa. Qataltum anha. What do we have?
قتلتموها.
Qataltumuha. Now, so you add the wow after the meme. So you get qataltumuha. And the last one, sami'tum. And then who? We have sami'tumuhu. Sami'tumuhu. Now, ahsant. If everybody is okay with that, we're going on to the next part here. Now, this number 9 here deals with the word zu. All right. Now we know zu means the possessor of or the owner of. All right. We went through this. Again, all of these things we went through before Ramadan. Eh? All of these things we went through before Ramadan. So this deals with the zu and the or the too. Right. Now, when we have the when we have an indefinite noun, all right, we can say zu and then the noun in its indefinite form. It means referring back to an indefinite noun. Now, if the noun is definite, we have to make the word that comes after zu also definite, right? Let's look at this example here. The first example, عندي كتاب ذو غلاف أحمر. ذو غلاف أحمر. Right? Now, this sentence, what does it mean? It means I have a book, indefinite, a book, I have a book, ذو غلاف أحمر. That has a red cover. Or is it possessed? Literally means the possessor of a red cover, or the owner of a red cover. The book can really own anything. So what it really means is that the book has a red cover, right? So notice the word that coming after zu is in the state of jar, right? It's majrur, and also ahmara is also majrur. You might say, well, how is it majrur and it has a fatha on the last letter? That is because it is all the colors, right, in the masculine form, or the masculine words for the colors would be mamnu min asarf. So words that are mamnu min asarf would not take the kasra. All right, so that's why this has a fatha on it there. So in the kitabun zu ghilafin ahmara. I have a book with a red cover. Good. So that's indefinite, right? Let's see how it changes here. You can ask the question, أين الكتاب ذو الغلاف الأحمر. ذو الغلاف الأحمر. Right? So in this case, they have the kitab has alif lam, right? أين الكتاب ذو غلاف, right? Where is the book that has the red cover, أحمر, right? So let's look at the questions going on here now, right? And what we have to do is we have to make the words after zu, all right, definite. Why? Because we have to match the word that is describing. Remember, the word zu is really to describe something that comes before it, right? So we said we are saying, or we are stating a particular noun, then we are saying a particular attribute of that noun, right? So for example, going back to the first example above, Indi kitabun ذو غلاف أحمر. So I have a book. I have a book. There's a statement, right? Then we're going to list a particular characteristic of that book. ذو غلاف أحمر. That has a red cover, right? So number one, we are saying liman ذاك البيت. So we are asking, who does that house belong to? And then we're going to say a particular attribute or characteristic of the house, right? ذو باب أخضر. ذو باب أخضر. Now, we just stated a definite noun, right? Al-baytu, a definite, alif lam. And so we have to make the we have to make bab definite, and therefore also akhdara also definite. So what do we say? It would be liman dhaka al-baytu dhul babi al-akhdari. Right? Everybody with me? Next one. All right, anybody want to try the next one? Man ذلك الفتى ذو something something. So how are we going to change that? All we're doing is making it definite. The two words after dhu, make it definite by adding the alif lam, because it has to match the word it's describing, right? Similar to the concept of adjective. Remember adjectives? Describing a noun, and it has to match the noun. If the noun is definite, the adjective also has to be definite. Okay, if it's masculine, the word also has to be masculine, right? Now, I'm not saying these are adjectives, right? I'm saying that they is a similar concept, right? So how do you say this? Man, ذلك الفتى. So if you are saying this here, we would say Man ذلك الفتى ذن. Remember, add the alif lam, but the alif lam will be silent in this case. So the noon will take a shadda. So you join straight to the noon. So you would say ذن الضارة الصغيرة. Right? So the sword here and the noon are both some letters, right? So in both cases, the lam would not be pronounced, but you need to put in the lam if writing it, okay? So you would say ذو النظارة الصغيرة, right? Next one. ذلك الرجل.
What does that mean?
Number two, who is that youth that has the small glasses? An-nazara is a glasses, right? And sagir means small.
Small.
Right?
Okay,
So yeah, who is the youth with the small glasses, or the possessor of the small glasses? Right. Next one. ذلك الرجل ذو حقيبة جميلة طبيب مشهور. Right. So we need to make the haqiba and jamila definite. Anybody want to try this?
ذلك الرجل ذو الحقيبة الجميلة طبيب مشهور.
Right, so ذلك الرجل ذو الحقيبة الجميلة طبيب مشهور. Right, so that man with the beautiful bag is a famous doctor. Right, that's the meaning of that. Now we just skip into the last couple examples here. Right, so we see a little change uh, in the words used. Right. Now, what we have been using all the time, the nouns are masculine. Okay, so the masculine noun we use zu. So kitab is masculine, we use zu. All right. Bait is masculine, we use zu. Unav. Okay, you all follow? Al Fatah means a young man is masculine, right? So it's zu we use. We have Rajul, masculine. We use zu. Unav. Right? You all following? Now, if the noun that we are describing or listing the particular characteristic for, if it's feminine, if it's a feminine noun, we don't use zu, we use that, that, right? Let's look at number 10. We have al mujallatu dhatu suwarin mulawwanat mulawwanatin mulawwanatun. Now, what does this mean? The magazine with the color color pictures or colorful pictures, right? So if we are now the thing described here is definite, right? Al mujallatu, the magazine, thereto. Therefore, we have to make the suwar and the mujalla also definite. So what we would say? We would say thereto as-suwari al-mulawwanati, right? So the magazine with the beautiful pictures, right?
Sheikh, how come Mulawanatun is not jar?
Right.
How
I
come
think
it's
it.
not?
Right. In this case, it should be. It's supposed to have the kasra,
It's
right? So when
supposed to
they
be jar,
change it,
right?
yeah, yeah, it's supposed to be jar. All right. So we move on now. It's already 20 to 9. So I wanted to start the next. Start chapter 9. All right. So let's look at number 10 here. اقرأ الأمثلة ثم كون جملا مثلها. Right. So read the examples and form sentences like them. Right. So we're on page 53. Towards the end or bottom of page 53. Right. So the first example is أكرة القدم لعبتم أم كرة السلة. Right. Did you play football or basketball? Football or basketball. And then you have here al Muhammadan Ra'aita am Hamidan. So looking at how we using a and am. All right. So you're asking a question and you're given a choice. Is it this or this? All right. So how do you say or? We use am. Am. كتاب الفقه أخذت أم كتاب السيرة. Is it the book on fiqh you took or the book on the sirah? Right? So how do we form sentences like that? They give us words and we have to just basically form sentences along the lines of these examples, right? So for example, we have 3 words here in brackets. Darabtu, Abbasun, and Mahmudun, right? So in this case, you would say Adarabta Abbasan am Mahmudan. Did you hit Abbas or Mahmoud? You're seeing
Sheikh,
that?
in this construction, wouldn't the have to come directly after the verb? So it wouldn't be Abbasan brought up to
Right, yes, correct. Yes,
Mahmoud.
yes. Yeah, so you put the option first. Is it this or that? Is it right? Correct. So in this particular examples, yes, we put the verb after, right? So it will be Abbas, Abbasan darabta am Mahmudan, right? Now, sahih. Again, the next one. Asiratul burtuqali برتقالة عصير البرتقالي شربت أم عصير العنب, right? Is it orange juice you drank or grape juice, right? So this is straightforward construct here. Is it this or that, all right? Any questions with respect to that? All right, so just to quickly look at the last two exercises here. One is basically the fractions, which we ran through last before Ramadan. So we're going to go through it quickly again. All right. Um, if you want to write the mathematical representation of it, don't write the English. I really strongly discourage people from writing English translations in their books, because then you will always be dependent on the translation in understanding something, and that slows you down in building up your vocabulary. All right. So always try to link it to a picture, or in this case, it's easy because it's mathematical representation and we're using Arabic numerals. All right. So just put a little 1/2 next to nisf. Nisfun, half. Thuluthun, 1/3, 1/3. Right. Rub'un is a quarter, 1/4. Khumsun, 1/5. Sudusun, 1/6. Sub'un, 1/7, 1/7. Right? Thumunun or Thumnun, 1/8. Tus'un, 1/9. And Ushrun is 1/10. Okay, so these are the fractions. Please learn them off. As I said, these even occur in Quran, they occur in Hadith, and so on, right? So it's useful to learn. Last exercise in this chapter is basically they give us some words and they ask us to use these words in some sentences. All right. So I think the last time I left this up to you all. So please, if you all want to write some sentences with these words, right? Please do so, and you can send them to me. All right. When I was studying, we used to have to write sentences. One particular teacher I had, every class, um, all the new words we did in that class, we would have to write 100 sentences using these words every class. And we had class 4 times a week. So you can imagine how many sentences we had to compose for the week, right? Um, so these are the new words here in the chapter. So again, just to go through them quickly, or rather, right, just to go through quickly. Miknasatun is the broom, jam. Makanisu, it's sullamun, jam. Salalimu, which is the stairs. Mana, minaretun, which is the minaret. Manairu is the plural. Navaratun is the glasses, jam. Navaratun, right, is the plural. Right? Ajal, ajalatun is a wheel. Plural is ajalun. Lihyatun is beard, right? Lihya. So, like for somebody with a beard, you will say the bearded man. You will say a rajul dhu lihyati, right? The bearded man, or the man with the beard, right? There we. Suratun is a picture. Plural of that is suwarun, right? Now this is not surah as in a chapter in the Quran, right? That surah is with a scene. So this here is surah with a sword. Suratun is a picture, right? Surah, right? And this word actually occurs in the Quran. Ahsana suwarakum, right? It's if anybody could tell me what surah that is from, could check it and tell me next time, right? All right, next word. Ida'atun is a broadcast or a station, as we saw in the passage. Ida'atun is plural. Alin is like loud or raised, like a raised voice or loud voice, right? And the feminine of that is aliyatun, right? Sabunun is soap. Al-barihatu is last night. Mulawwanun is colored, right? Mulawwan, colored. Asir is juice. Burtuqal is orange. Sabah is morning. Kuratul Qadam is football. Kuratul Salla is basketball. Nisf is half. Masha is a verb. It means to walk, right? Now we haven't done these types of verbs yet, right? In some verbs, the root letters, the three root letters, some of them, one or two of them could be a weak letter, right? A weak letter is basically the letters of mad. You know, when you have the mad in the Quran, right, where aleph occurs after um, a fatha, it lengthens the fatha, right? If a waw occurs after a dhamma, it lengthens the dhamma, and if the ya occurs after the kasra, it lengthens the kasra. So these three letters are letters of mad, right? The waw, the aleph, and the ya. So these are also referred to as weak letters when we are speaking about verbs, right? So if root letters in the verbs has a weak letter, then they are called weak verbs, right? And there are different categories of that and so on, which we will see in a little while, right? So this verb, it has two root letters which are non-weak, and then the third one is a weak letter, right? So what is the verb? Masha, masha. So this is to walk. Masha is to walk, right? Akhada is to take. Wada'a is to put, or to put down, or to place, right? Wajada means to find, and bahatha an is to look for, right? Good. Any questions? What we're going to do now, last week we went through this table, which is at the beginning of chapter 8, or Ad-Darasu Thaminu. Anybody has any problem with this table? As I said, if you want to print it out, stick it to the front of your book or the back of your notebook, right? Right, photocopy your textbook and put it somewhere prominent to the back of your notebook, right? You always need to refer to this, all right? So I'm not going to go through this again. We went through that last week. So for the last 10 minutes, I just want to go into
before we go on, right? I just had a question about the word zoo, right? What is the difference? So would it be incorrect to use the word ma'a instead of zoo?
Ma'a,
so like
as
if
in
to describe a
meme,
magazine with the colorful pictures or with the whatever kind of pictures, would ma'a be sufficient or correct there, or would you need to use zoo?
Ma'a is more like together with. So, like you say, one book with that book, right? As opposed to listing a characteristic of the book. So Ma'a is not really used.
Okay.
We would use that in English, the book with the red cover, right? But that with that we would use in English, right? We would also use it to mean together with. So you say like, I arrived with, you know, my teacher, or I entered the class along with my teacher, you know, so that is like together with, right? So that is how we would use ma'a. So I don't think you could use it with like in that sense, you know. So you'd have to use the zoo if it is you want to list a characteristic of a person or object.
Okay. All right. Jazakallah.
Yeah. All right. So as I said, I wanted to start this chapter today just to read it through. Right. We'll go more in detail with it next week. Right. Um, so inshallah, next week, what I want to do next week is just to go through some of the rules that is covered that will recapped, rather not covered, but not introduced, but rather revised in Darusuthamin or chapter 8, right? Which I'm skipping over right now because I know we did a lot of explanation already. So that's want to do some reading now. Next week, inshallah, before we get back to the reading, I will go through some of those rules in chapter 8, which I'm skipping over now, and we will look at again next week. All right? So we'll just do some light reading now. So if you all could follow in your books, I'll read it first, and then you all could repeat after me afterwards, right? So I'll just take piece of it and not taking the whole thing, right? So initially, just listen and follow in your books, please. Right, Bismillah. Adarusut Tasiru, Adarusut Tasiru, or the ninth lesson, right? دخل المدرس الفصل دخل المدرس الفصل ووجد فيه خمسة عشر طالبا فقط فقال لهم أين الطلاب الجدد الخمسة الذي جاءوا أمس قال عبد الله حضروا اليوم وخرجوا قبل قليل أظن أنهم ذهبوا إلى المدير رجع الطلاب الخمسة بعد قليل فقال لهم المدرس أإلى المدير ذهبتم يا أبنائي قالوا نعم ذهبنا إليه لأننا ما وجدنا أسماءنا في القائمة جلس المدرس وقال أقرأتم درس الأمس يا أبنائي قال الطلاب نعم قرأناه. Right, remember this? Two pronouns attached to the verb, right? قرأناه, we read it. نعم قرأناه وكتبناه وحفظناه. قال المدرس أفهمتموه قالوا نعم فهمناه جيدا. ما أسهل هذا الدرس. قال عبد الرحمن أنا ما فهمت فيه 3 كلمات. قال المدرس ما هي؟ قال عبد الرحمن قرأنا في الدرس هذا الجملة عاد جدي من الخرطوم فما معنى هذه الكلمات ال3؟ قال المدرس عاد معناها رجع والجد معناها أبو الأب أو أبو الأم أو أبو الأم. وخرطوم عاصمة السودان. أفهمت؟ قال عبد الرحمن الآن فهمت. قال عبد الرحمن الآن فهمت. Good. So I'm going to read it again. I'm not going to explain it now, inshallah. If you have any questions, you can let me know. And I'll go through it next week, inshallah. So I'm going to read it, and I want you all to say it after me, inshallah ta'ala. Right? الدرس التاسع. دخل المدرس الفصل. دخل المدرس الفصل ووجد فيه 15 طالبا. ووجد فيه 15 طالبا فقط. فقال لهم: أين الطلاب الجدد؟ الخمسة الذي جاءوا أمس. قال عبد الله: حضروا اليوم وخرجوا قبل قليل. أظن أنهم ذهبوا إلى المدير. رجع الطلاب الخمسة بعد قليل، فقال لهم المدرس: أإلى المدير ذهبتم يا أبنائي؟ قالوا: نعم، ذهبنا إليه لأننا ما وجدنا أسماءنا في القائمة. جلس المدرس وقال: أقرأتم درس الأمس يا أبنائي؟ قال الطلاب: نعم، قرأناه وكتبناه وحفظناه. قال المدرس: أفهمتموه؟ قالوا: نعم، فهمناه جيدا. ما أسهل هذا الدرس. قال عبد الرحمن: أنا ما فهمت فيه 3 كلمات. قال المدرس: ما هي؟ قال عبد الرحمن: قرأنا في الدرس هذه الجملة: عاد جدي من الخرطوم فما معنى هذه الكلمات ال3؟ قال المدرس: عاد معناها رجع، والجد معناها أبو الأب، معناها أبو الأب أو أبو الأم. والخرطوم عاصمة السودان. أفهمت؟ قال عبد الرحمن الآن فهمت. نعم. Okay, so any quick questions? We end here today, inshallah. Next week, as I said, we're going to go back to the latter half of chapter 8, review some of the rules there, and then we're going to dive deeper into Adab Tasi'u, or the ninth lesson. Any quick questions? Any announcements? Yes, yeah. Next week, we go, inshallah, we go through the meeting. Right. All right. Any other questions? So if you get a chance, or rather, you should try to make a chance and read over this page at least. All right. So inshallah, as I said, I want to focus more, a little bit more on reading, because that helps us, to build vocabulary in context as opposed to learning a word by itself. So inshallah, we should try and do more of that, so it'll help us. All right. All right. If there are no other questions or comments, we will close off here, inshallah. And inshallah, in terms of the class.